Hey everyone, this is a bit of a different video for me. I wanted to go through and cover the first year of the PlayStation 5 and kind of just do a little bit of a retrospective look at it. The first year of this system has been a really weird time in the world. We're still reeling from the effects of the pandemic, from games being delayed due to challenges left on the development studios, all the way to systems being unavailable because of the chip shortage. It's fair to say that there has been some hiccups this year, some of them outside of Sony's control, for sure. But some of the issues definitely have been Sony related. In the first days of the PlayStation 5 being announced, pre-orders went live out of nowhere with no warning. Everybody was blindsided. I think Sony was too. It was the Wild West. If you were on Twitter at the right time, you may have gotten lucky and been able to secure a pre-order. Some people weren't even able to, even though they were there. Websites were crashing left and right. It was an unmitigated disaster. Nearing release day of the console, we started to hear rumors of Spider-Man causing consoles to be bricked. It was said that putting your console into rest mode while the game was playing would cause the system to crash and attempt to repair the storage, and in doing so it would end up in a boot loop and brick itself. As far as I know, those rumors were never substantiated into anything concrete regarding those games. It seemed to be issues with those consoles themselves. At this point, I haven't seen anything about widespread bricking since that issue. The console itself has only seen a few updates, and really only one of those was a major update that added features or changed things around significantly. That major update changed trophies from being horizontally faced to vertically again, just like the PlayStation 4. It also added the trophy tracker system, which allows you to have an overlay showing a few trophies that you're following as you're trying to earn them, showing your progress towards those trophies. This update also brought about the 3D audio for TV speakers. At first, it was only supported through headphones. This feature was promised early on, and it took them a little bit to make it happen. The biggest part of this update was activating the M.2 slot so you could finally expand your storage beyond the starting amount. That feature had been requested from day one, and it was widely discussed as to why it wasn't available from the get-go. And the last little bit about the console itself, it's still scarce. People are still hunting this console a year on. Honestly, I see that getting worse over this holiday season. People are requesting it for their Christmas presents. Everybody is going to try and buy them for their friends or their children or their loved ones. People who don't normally buy games are out hunting these consoles as well, expanding the demand. The supply isn't going up. Sony actually just decreased the amount of consoles they're going to be able to produce. The console prices on eBay are actually still going up. They had come down, but now that we're getting close to those holidays, it's going right back up there. It's absolutely wild out there when you're trying to hunt this console down. Anyway, on from the console itself, finally, the most important part of any console generation, the games. When we look at a console critically, what we really look at isn't the whole lineup of games. We mostly look at the exclusive games. Xbox and PlayStation, they share all the third-party games, or well, most of them. The exclusives are the ones that tell you which console you have to buy if you want to play that particular game. And as with previous generations, there are quite a few cross-gen games. However, this time there's quite a few from Sony themselves. This year we even have a game in the lineup with Microsoft involved, as a Sony console exclusive. The true exclusives that have content that is only playable on PlayStation 5 is actually a short list. First, we have Demon's Souls, which is a Bluepoint remake that is absolutely stunning. The original was released in 2009 for the PlayStation 3. It became a cult classic and created the Soulsborne genre as we know it. The remake honors this original game very well. Astro's Playroom is actually pre-installed on every PlayStation 5 that is sold. Initially, it was thought to just be a cutesy tech demo that showed what the DualSense can do. And while it is a tech demo and does show what the controller can do, the game completely shattered those expectations. It is a fully fleshed out platformer and is fantastic fun. It is widely loved in the PlayStation 5 community and should not be skipped by anyone who gets their hands on one. Then we have Returnal, the first AAA outing by Housemarque. This is a bullet hell, roguelike, third-person shooter, which is an absolutely wild step as your first outing, but it was successful nonetheless. Housemarque has since been acquired by Sony after Returnal was so well received. The game's most recent update finally added the save or suspend feature to the game, allowing you to close the game mid-run, rather than having to stick through it or lose your progress. These runs can last a few hours, so that feature was highly requested. Some people haven't even played the game because they knew they wouldn't have time to stay for an entire 3-hour run in one sitting. I actually went back to record footage, and I accidentally spent 3 hours playing when I only intended to record a few minutes of footage. A game that was initially slated to be released with the console got pushed back to February of 2021. That's Destruction All-Stars. It was initially intended to be a $70 purchase, however, got given away for free for 2 months with PlayStation Plus. This game is an online multiplayer arena game with race cars and trying to destroy each other's vehicles. I'll be honest with you, I have not tried this game. I did not have any interest in it, and honestly, it was not well received from what I can tell. The game is now being sold at $20, and it seems like they're really trying to get rid of it. June of 2021 was a hot month for new exclusives for the PlayStation 5. There were actually 2 big ones. The first of which was the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which actually is just a PlayStation 5 update of the original base game for the PlayStation 4. However, it also includes the PlayStation 5 exclusive part, the Intermission DLC, which allows you to play as Yuffie Kisaragi and explore her story that is going on during the base game. The second game that was released in June was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This game was very well received and actually did a really good job showing what the PlayStation 5 can do. The game looks just like a Pixar movie. It's a fun third-person shooter platformer, and there is a lot to do in it. There's a lot of planets to explore, and it actually has an extremely emotionally charged story that elevated the entire experience. And that's all for the true exclusives for the PlayStation 5. There are a number of games that are cross-gen and available on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. The first one that comes to mind is Spider-Man Remastered, which is a complete overhaul of the original Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. They changed some animations. They changed how Peter looks to match a new model. They added ray tracing as well as other graphical updates and increased crowd depth, how big the crowds are. And it also includes all of the DLC for the original game. They also released Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is a semi-sequel to the original Spider-Man. This one is again cross-gen, and it introduces you to Miles Morales' powers as a different form of Spider-Man. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is another cross-gen title that's available. This one is a 3D platformer instead of the Little Big Planet creating levels and exploring levels other people made kind of game. This one is more akin to, say, Crash Bandicoot or something of that like. Sackboy: A Big Adventure does allow multiplayer up to 4 players, and even has some levels that are fully designed around being in multiplayer. You can't even play them at all unless you're in multiplayer. Oddworld Soulstorm was released in April of 2021, and as far as I can tell, this game did not meet much fanfare on its release. In fact, the only time I have played this game was to go back and record footage for this review right here, and I gotta say, I don't think I'm gonna go back and play it anymore. Recently released were director's cuts of both Death Stranding and Ghosts of Tsushima, both of which are basically the same game as their base game with some DLC added. They also have graphical updates on the PlayStation 5 as well as the benefits of the new loading time and everything like that. Death Stranding is a divisive game. You either love it or hate it. There is no in between. For what it's worth, I loved the game, and I spent 120 hours with it. I even got the Platinum Trophy because I loved it so much. The director's cut for Death Stranding adds some more story content, as well as a shooting range, some racing, another bot that will carry your stuff with you, and you can even ride on this bot, as well as a launch mat. There's a lot of weird changes added. Ghost of Tsushima, the base game, is fantastic, and a lot of fun to experience. If you like Seven Samurai or anything like that, it is well worth playing. The DLC for the director's cut includes the Icky Island expansion, which gives you a new island to explore, as well as new story content and new side quests to do out. Finally, onto the weird exclusive games, we have Godfall and Deathloop. Godfall is a strange game. It is a looter slasher. It is attempting to be similar to Borderlands, except with melee weapons instead of guns. It had some graphical stuttering on release and was not well received whatsoever. It has actually become kind of a meme online. Godfall was also released on PC, and they are now seemingly looking at releasing it on the PlayStation 4 as well. Deathloop was developed by Arcane Studios, who is now owned by Microsoft after they acquired Bethesda. It's really hard to wrap my mind around the idea that a Microsoft-produced game is exclusive to the PlayStation. The game has to be coming to the Xbox as soon as the exclusivity deal is over with PlayStation. This game is a lot of fun to explore. It is not a roguelike like the trailers like to point out. However, it is fun. It is entertaining. I would recommend it on a sale. I would not recommend it at full price under any circumstances, especially if you have Game Pass, because it will probably be on Game Pass in the next year or two. Third parties have put out a ton of games for the PlayStation 5 console. From the newest Assassin's Creed all the way to Tales of Arise, there's been an outpouring of support for the system. At this point, we are looking at over 100 physical games available. I would say this is a minimum. The PlayStation 5 has had a successful first year. Multiple first-party games were released, including the new IP that is Returnal. The system is still outselling their capability to produce them, and that does not look like it's going to change anytime soon. The future of the console does look bright. 2022 looks like it's going to be an absolutely wild year. We've got games that were delayed out of 2021, such as God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forgotten West, Gran Turismo 7, as well as a wide number of third-party games coming out next year. Then we still have the undated games that are coming. Spider-Man 2, Marvel's Wolverine, Final Fantasy 16. There is so much coming in the next year. I can't wait. It's been fun to look back on this first year of the PlayStation 5 with a retrospective eye. This has been the biggest video that I have worked on, and I've had an absolute blast working on it here. What did you think of the first year of the PlayStation 5? Should it have been delayed? Did it meet your expectations? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe.